What is shelfware and what are some strategies for avoiding shelfware? That's what I want to talk about today. My name is Marcus Harris. I'm a software and technology attorney. For the last 20 years, I've drafted and negotiated a variety of technology-related contracts and litigated hundreds of digital transformation failures in courts across the country. What is shelfware? Well, shelfware is essentially software that you have purchased or have the right to access that you are no longer using or no longer have a need for. It can range from too many users. It can be modules that you no longer need or functionality that no longer serves your business needs. So the first step really is how do you avoid getting into this situation in the first place? And I think really you have to have a well-defined strategy for acquiring software and functionality. You can't just go off of what your salesperson is recommending or what you think your competitors are doing. You really have to have an analysis of what your business needs are, what your current state is, what your future state is going to look like, and what types of functionality are going to meet those specific business processes or business needs. So the first step then is define your business needs with a high degree of specificity. You also need to have an understanding of the functionality that you're purchasing and why you're purchasing it. I mean, if you don't understand what the software does or why you need it, I think that's a recipe for walking right into this situation and having shelfware or software that you're not going to be utilizing. You also really need to properly invest during the digital transformation or the implementation process into change management. You want to ensure that the functionality that you're adopting or purchasing is really going to be used by the people that in your business that are supposed to be using it. You don't want to have resistance to change. You want to have people that are actually excited to use that functionality, understand the value, and are utilizing functionality that makes their job easier. From a contractual standpoint, I think there are a variety of things that you want to think about and negotiate on the front end to account for and minimize the likelihood that you are going to have unutilized functionality modules or users. And I think the first thing that you want to be able to do is really structure an agreement that takes advantage of what I would call future options. And really, a future option is essentially the option to purchase additional functionality, users, modules, whatever it is, for a set period of time. It can be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever you can negotiate at a discounted price that is equal to potentially the discount that you're getting on the software initially. And the reason that you want to do that is that I think you can have some level of confidence in underbuying on the front end so that you're not overbuying because you're trying to take advantage of a discount. You've got that discount there that you're going to be utilizing well into the future. And so if you decide that you need more of that user functionality module, whatever it is, you have the confidence and the ability to purchase it kind of as you go and as your needs are growing. So I think that's an initial strategy for avoiding shelfware. One of the other things that we try to include in the contracts that we negotiate really is the ability to, what I would call park users or be able to park functionality. And this is a scenario where, for whatever reason, you've got some sort of a downsizing event, you've merged out an affiliate or some sort of corporate entity, and you're not going to be able to take advantage of whatever functionality user count you've got. There's going to be some decrease in your utilization of that software for a period of time. What you'd want to be able to do in that scenario is negotiate the ability to kind of park those users, put them outside of the revenue stream, put them on a shelf. And so, really this would be, I guess, shelfware in its by definition. But where this differs is that you're putting that software or functionality to the side. You're not being charged for the utilization of it because you're not using it. And then maybe for a fee, you can reintroduce that functionality module, whatever it is, into your environment and then take advantage of it. There's going to be some scenarios where you might have to pay software support or maintenance to do that. You may not be able to wipe that out, but you may very well be able to wipe out any kind of ongoing licensing fees for software functionality that you're not actually utilizing. One of the other things that we see on a pretty regular basis in the contracts that we negotiate, particularly with SAP and Oracle, is something that we would call swap rights. And what this is a scenario where you are not utilizing the software or functionality that you are contractually obligated to utilize or have a right to use, and you're able then to swap that functionality, maybe for a one-to-one for software or other functionality that you think you're going to use. So there's some kind of flexibility within the contract as to how you're going to utilize those software assets, and being able to trade them out or swap them for functionality that might be more beneficial to you depending on the scenario. I think that's an incredibly important thing to do. The other thing is you want to account for a scenario where we'd call it changes in SKUs. And a lot of times software vendors will make minor modifications to pieces of functionality, assign it some sort of a different SKU number or name or nomenclature or whatever it is. And in reality, it's 99% the same as to what you've licensed. You want to make sure that you're able to capture your ability to utilize whatever that new piece of functionality is. And I would use air quotes around this concept of it being new. It's essentially the same thing, but really, essentially, it's a revenue grab, to try to get more fees from you, not necessarily a swap kind of scenario to avoid shelfware, but really, to account for kind of a shifting landscape of functionality and making sure that you're able to utilize things. And I think that really is kind of the guiding light and the guiding principle associated with this. You want to make sure that as you're utilizing the software, that you have negotiated all the rights associated with really ownership. You want to have all the ownership, all the indicia of ownership, while still having a right of access or a license grant. Get as close to being able to have some sort of ownership interest in the software, in your flexibility in usage of that software, so that you have the ability to not utilize software, not be charged for it, be able to swap it out. I mean, flexibility really is the key to getting these things done correctly and to minimize the likelihood that you're going to have a whole bunch of shelfware sitting there on a shelf that's not being utilized. If you have any questions about anything that we've talked about in this video, please feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you and look at your contracts and get you pointed in the right direction. Hundreds of digital transformation failures in courts across the country.
Oh, let's try it one more time.
All right. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's early.